Matt, welcome to Airborne Live and the AEA Live segments for 2023. You guys have done some pretty cool stuff this week. We're going to talk to your battery folks tomorrow afternoon, or morning I should say. But in the meantime, the 3-pack lives and all digital.
It does.
Tell us what happened here.
So definitely when the glass panel revolution came along, we started to see this move to 2-inch standby instruments.
Was that a revolution or an insurrection?
Either way. Depends on which side you're standing.
I think Todd may have an opinion on that one.
Yeah, so it was from a company that we really cut our teeth in the mechanical instrument world in developing 2-inch round dial instruments that allowed panels to really maximize the space. The challenge has always been there's still a mechanical instrument as we moved into more and more of a digital age. And with that program, one of the things we've kind of seen, especially after COVID, and this is kind of one of those knock-on effects that we find in the industry, some of the things on mechanical instruments actually became a little bit harder to find, a little bit harder to support. When you look at a mechanical instrument, we all know that they spin approximately 15,000 RPM, and so you have to have good bearings and rotors. And I mean, just bearings, rotors.
Oh my!
Very bespoke. It's a Swiss watch. It's a really incredible thing to have to be built. As we came out of COVID, we realized that a lot of the people that were making those parts were very dedicated professionals, but they were small businesses. They had been doing it for a lot of years, and as the market shrank, so did the field of places we could find those parts. And so, as part of an unfortunate coincidence in one way, but a very positive one in the other, we said, look, we can take these instruments and make them digital. And so when we launched our MD23 Flex platform a couple of years ago now, which was our custom design instrument, we said we can make standardized versions of this. We already had the hardware in place. We had one that has an inertial measurement unit in it, so that gives us the attitude that we need. We had differential and absolute pressure sensors, which are pitot and static. And so we said, we can really replace these mechanical instruments now with a digital solution that's at the right price, at the right fit, and bring that into the market and bring that kind of digital quality and reliability, as well as an additional set of features that now we are expecting in a glass panel environment.
Well, I'll tell you what, everything went digital, everything went, screens this, screens that, so it seemed like the next best thing to do. But for those folks out there that have been dealing with 3-packs forever and a day and kind of used to them, and, if God intended us to go digital, the Bible would have come that way too, and all that kind of thing. It has to have been an interesting development for people to see, wait a second, this kind of fits in where it was before, and it's not going to be that hard or that horribly expensive to do. Yeah. What's the process like in making the transition?
The beauty of the digital 3-pack is that it really simplifies the install process. The first step is you don't have to cut a new panel. When you look at a lot of standby instruments, you're not going in, cutting a brand new panel and going through all that expense and time. Now you have something that fits an existing 2-inch round hole that everybody has in their panels that has these kinds of standbys. And then along with that, most of those connectors, if anybody's ever pulled out an instrument, it's a 4-pin connector in the back on most of these legacy mechanical instruments. A lot of that was electrical power to drive it, and then you had to have some lighting. Well, now we have more pins, but all you really have to do are those 4. And so everything that's already run in the panel, you're just repinning the connection, turning 4 screws on each instrument, and now you've got a digital backup that not only can be tied into your lighting bus or use the photocell, but it just is an easy drop-in without all the other cost and time that it takes to get a brand new instrument panel created.
Okay, I got to ask the question.
Okay.
Cost.
All right, so cost for all 3 as a replacement, it's $15,000 is the list price. And out of that, if you were to go separately, the airspeed and the altimeter run for $5,000 list each. The attitude indicator, $6,500. With that, you obviously get a package deal, right, when you do the math there. So you save $1,500 by going through all 3. And price-wise, when you look at, and this is where it gets really more compelling in terms of, for the customers out there looking to potentially make an upgrade, is that the overhaul costs on these mechanical instruments, and we build a lot of them, and so we know exactly where they're at. Overhaul cost versus a new cost for a digital solution, they're really close to being about the same. And on attitude indicators,
if you can find the parts.
If you can find the parts on attitude indicators and the altimeters as well. Believe it or not, the altimeters are kind of one of the worst ones to do, because that aneroid wafer That's a whole other segment we can do sometime about how to make an aneroid wafer, but it is bespoke and very costly to get done.
That would have to be a horror show. It just really.
It's amazing to see. And now going to the digital sensors, you get the reliability that comes, almost at orders of magnitude.
Mean time between failures of 4 billion plus or whatever.
It just goes forever.
Digital, it's real simple. You power it on, it works.
That's
absolutely. If it doesn't work, then you replace it, and then it works. And that's it. And it just keeps on going and going and going and going.
Yep.
Digital MTBF is kind of a joke. You went from thousands of hours to millions of hours, or the equivalent in some cases.
Absolutely.
I supervised a test program recently for a vehicle for the military, in which a lot of stuff got switched out, and we were looking at maintenance schedules and everything else. And maintenance schedules that used to be measured in dozens of hours are now hundreds and thousands of hours. And I'm just sitting there kind of going, boy, there's a general somewhere who's not only going to like this, but going to take credit for it.
Oh, yeah.
So, big time. So there you go. Well, it's a wonderful solution to see, but obviously with what you've developed out of the Flex program, this stuff can go anywhere and add all kinds of intriguing capabilities.
Yep.
What do you see specifically with the Attitude? Might we see things like synthetic vision and the like?
I don't know on a 2-inch display that we'll get down to that kind of a technology. The nice thing about the Flex instruments is
Well, you're leading into my next question is, do we go beyond 2-inch or not?
I think there's always a desire to go beyond that.
Yep.
It's the core technology is there, and the beauty of the Flex product is really how we have been able to certify it, and the way that the software is designed. So the software inside all these instruments is design assurance level A, which means that it can go in any kind of an aircraft, from an airliner on down to the smallest of the small. And then when you look at the software functions, when we design the hardware, it comes out of the gate with a TSO ready to go, and then through our custom interface design process, we actually create a separate file that tells the instrument now what it is. All the functions, for anything you can imagine, we've already qualified, tested, and had approved under the TSO. Now it's just a matter of getting it configured to present exactly what you want. And that functionality really scales well into other devices, as well as just bigger displays.
It's exciting. It really is kind of cool. And then, 15K is 15K, but again, there's going to be at some point down the line where, because of the mechanical nature of mechanical things will break, and this is where all of a sudden this starts making lots and lots of sense. Do you have a rough idea of installation time in regards to making the switch from mechanical to digital?
It's one of those things that can be done, depending on the aircraft and what else is being accomplished, pretty easily. You could probably get it done in a day. The easiest thing to do is get the panel tilted down, pull out the old instruments, you're repinning 3 connectors, putting them back in. It's probably going to take you about as long to do the paperwork as the physical work. So we know that that's the way that aviation rolls. And for a great target for these particular products is definitely what we've done in our initial AMLSTC, which is Part 23 AMLSTC, looking at basically everything that's burning kerosene as the initial starting point is a big part of the market where they're facing gyro obsolescence problems specifically. And so being able to go through and bring this technology into the King Airs, into the CJs, into the old Citation jets, into the Premiers that have 2-inch round dial instruments in the panel that are looking for a cost-effective and timely solution to product failures and repair obsolescence.
Outstanding. Well, at some point down the line, I've got to see this in the field, which is basically an excuse to go fly something.
Yeah.
And how hard
Come
it is
on out to my King Air, we'll go.
Now you're talking, there you go. But no, that sounds like a great series of solutions. Is there a future to this that hasn't been talked about much yet, but we should be looking at? I mean, where do we go from here, I guess, is the ultimate question.
Yeah, I think that the next step beyond where we're at with those particular instruments today, we still have 26 pins of I/O in the backside.
Oh dear.
So we're doing ARINC conversion. We're going from analog to digital, digital to analog. We've got analog discretes. We can, in a lot of airplanes, and in my background over all these years, I've seen where you start running out of ARINC. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. Everything that's digital needs additional digital information. And so with that, we can bring in and consolidate multiple ARINC instruments down into a single output. And so for the installers and for people looking to upgrade their aircraft to keep pace with the digital revolution that is here, then we're able to sit there and say, yeah, we've got another solution to a pretty common problem, which is being able to get all that data kind of corralled, brought into a singular focus that allows you to be able to get the gazinzas and gazadas that you want to have and that you really need, because that's a challenge.
Wild. Where can people get more information on this?
They can come out to our website at mcico.com. They can call us in Wichita. All of our contact information is online. We've got great information down to the install manuals and any other details to help plan their project available free on our website.
And of course, yesterday's MPI.
The MPI was great. We do always enjoy the AEA MPI. I don't know if you noticed that we had Ryan Reed, one of our pilots, sweeping the hangar as well as working on gyros.
Kidding? We were having a ball with that.
Yeah,
that was well placed and actually a good job for Ryan. So no problem. Yes. Got to keep the guy busy. So
as we always say, there's no reason this job can't be fun.
Well, there you go. And well, I'll tell you what, we will be talking to I think Van tomorrow in regard, but at least you guys brought the real deal to it, so that was exciting. Sweeping notwithstanding, and we'll look forward to seeing what you have in mind. I guess we'll see you at Oshkosh.
We'll be at Oshkosh. We're excited to be there, back in Hangar B,
okay,
where we traditionally have been. And then from there, it seems like every other trade show between now and then, we'll be there as well.
And NBAA will definitely see you there.
Absolutely.
So.
Aero-News Network's coverage of the 66th Annual AEA International Convention and Trade Show, live from Orlando, Florida, is brought to you in part by the following sponsors: